Citrus fruits, all kinds of interesting stories about them. But let's go back for a moment to 1757 and the classic tale of Scottish physician James Lind, who was studying scurvy. And he knew that sailors on long ocean voyages who had a diet of biscuits and salted meats came down with scurvy. He carried out some experiments to see whether or not some fruit could solve this problem, because he knew that they ate no fruits on these journeys. And he discovered that citrus fruits, and he worked a lot with limes, because limes were pretty cheap at that time in the Caribbean. And he discovered that lime juice would prevent scurvy or cure it if it was already present. And thus, Brits came to be known as limeys. Of course, James Lind didn't know what the ingredient in limes or in lemons or in oranges was that prevented scurvy. That task fell to Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi, a Hungarian physician who would eventually identify vitamin C as the active ingredient in these juices. He was an interesting character. During the First World War, he was a soldier in the Hungarian army. He didn't like it. He wanted to get back to the lab. So he took a pistol, shot himself in the arm. Luckily, he knew anatomy, so he knew where to do the least harm. And he was released from the army, got sent back to Budapest, and forged a medical career. He became interested in Addison's disease, which is a disease where the adrenal glands, located on top of the kidneys, don't produce enough of their hormones. He didn't know why, but he knew that there was a sign associated with Addison's disease. Patients' arms and other parts of the body got dark. He didn't know what this was all about, but he was also familiar with the fact that certain vegetables or fruits got dark when exposed to the air, like the potato. It gets dark. And he wondered if there was any connection to Addison's disease. He couldn't find any, but it got him into some research on fruits and vegetables and their darkening. Cabbages, for example, don't darken. Turnips don't darken, but potatoes do. So he took an extract of cabbage juice and he put it on a potato and he found it didn't darken. Interesting. And then he was really intrigued when he took his adrenal gland extract, put that on the potato, it still didn't darken. So he decided he had to find out what this chemical was that prevented this reaction. Eventually, he was able to isolate about 25 grams of this stuff from a huge load of adrenal glands from animals from slaughterhouses. And he also knew that guinea pigs, like humans, also were amenable to scurvy. So he gave them a diet of biscuits that would provoke scurvy. It did. And he gave them the adrenal gland extract, and indeed it solved the problem. But it also used up all of his extracts. He didn't have any more to work with. But that night, he was having dinner, and his wife served him some red peppers. That's the stuff that paprika is made of. And all of a sudden, got him thinking. The one fruit, and yeah, peppers are a fruit, that he had not tested for this mysterious substance were red peppers. He went to the lab and he discovered that red peppers and paprika were a rich source of this mysterious substance. He was able to isolate a lot of it. He sent some of it to a colleague, Walter Hayworth, in England, who determined its molecular structure. And now we know what it is. It is ascorbic acid or vitamin C. That's the stuff that is available as supplements. People take it for all kinds of reasons. Much of it is not justified, but it certainly does prevent scurvy. But the interesting part of the story is the role that was played by paprika. This is what gave him the idea. And of course, that is the most famous of all Hungarian spices, is paprika. And I can tell you that every time that I make my chicken paprikash, where you take chicken legs, chicken thighs, and saute some onions, saute some garlic, and put in some tomatoes, and put in some green pepper, and then put in the paprika. Every time I do that, I think of the story of vitamin C and Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi and the Nobel Prize he received in 1937 for the discovery of vitamin C. When you make your chicken paprikash, as you should, because it's a great dish, just be careful not to burn the paprika because it will turn bitter. And don't use too much of the hot stuff because it is really hot. You put in a little sprinkling of the hot, rest of it sweet paprika, and you will have a delicious meal, and you will also have the story that goes with it, which is the story of Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi and his discovery of vitamin C in paprika.